Welcome, dear friends, to our moment of peaceful reflection. I invite you to join me with an open heart. As we see the day soften and settle, I am here in this quiet room. A lamp casts a warm circle of light. The rest of the house breathes in slow rhythms. Outside, the evening moves like a gentle tide. I speak in a low voice. The words are simple. The pace is slow. Let the sound find its way into tired places. Let it rest there for a while. This is a time for gentle attention. This is a time to let burdens loosen. One by one, I ask you now to make a small space. Put aside what can wait. Lay down the day's lists. Set down the small anxieties that cling to the edges of the mind. Invite a calm that feels like a soft blanket. No need to push hard. Just allow. I sit with a book in my lap. It is the Bible. Worn at the edges, the pages smell faintly of the past. That smell feels like home. I do not come with arguments. I do not come with pressure. Only with care. Only with a desire to bring peace. Listen with gentle ears. Let your body settle in whatever way is most comfortable. Support the head. Soften the shoulders. Ease the jaw. Let the hands rest in the lap or at the sides. Notice the breath. It is steady. It is natural. Follow it for a few calm moments. As I breathe, I find the present. The present is where mercy waits. The present is where hope quietly arrives. No need to chase answers tonight. No need to reach for explanations. Instead, receive a quiet truth. You are held in a space that wants to restore you. I will read aloud. The voice is steady and kind. The passages come slowly. Each sentence reaches the ear like a small lamp placed along a dark path. I choose words that ease rather than crowd. I pick moments in the book that speak of rest, of shelter, of gentle assurance. The aim is not to debate. The aim is to soothe. Tonight, the reading focuses on images of home, of safe harbors, of worn hands that reach out with mercy. The stories and poems here carry a rhythm like waves. They calm the mind. They offer a place to breathe. When the lines fall softly, let them touch the tender spots inside. Let them speak their quiet yes to weary hearts. I do not ask for perfect stillness. Thought may wander. Émotions may surface. If memory drifts to the day's concerns, notice this without judgment. Imagine gently laying each worry on a table by your side. Name the heaviest one if it helps. Place it down. It can rest for now. If sleep comes, welcome it. If the eyes remain open, that is good too. Rest does not insist on silence or motionless bodies. Rest accepts what is. The goal is calm breathing, a listening heart, and a sense that mercy is near. I invite you to slow the breath with me. Breathe in through the nose for a slow count of 4. Hold for a soft half-second. Breathe out through the mouth or nose for a count of 5. Let each exhale be a little longer than the in-breath. With each out-breath, imagine tension unbinding. With each in-breath, Imagine a quiet peace rising like warm tea into the chest. Now, scan the body from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet. Notice any clutching. Soften those places. Picture a gentle light moving down from the forehead. It pauses at the temples, then slides to the jaw. The mouth loosens, the shoulders drop. The light warms the ribs, letting the breath expand easily. It sinks through the belly and hips, releasing held tightness. The warm light moves to the knees, the calves, the ankles. The feet rest on the floor or the bed. Allow the whole body to be visited by this calm. As the body eases, the heart follows. Imagine a small room with a single window. Light comes through and paints the floor. In the center, a chair waits. In that chair sits a figure who knows your name. There is no demand, no list of things to fix, only a steady presence that says, I am with you. Let the comfort of that presence settle in the chest like a soft cloak. I will read passages that echo that steady presence. They describe quiet pastures, streams that find stillness, and hands that offer rest. Each image invites the mind to release its grip on fear. Each line offers a promise that mercy is not exhausted. Each phrase acts as a small anchor when the sea inside grows rough. Sometimes, listeners worry that faith means having all the answers. That is not the way of tonight. The words I read do not require solving anything. They invite a simpler response, trust, not a loud, heroic faith, but a gentle leaning into the assurance that suffering does not have the final word, that mercy remains. Even in small measures, feelings of regret, of longing, of tiredness may wander in. Let them be. Picture them as weather passing across the sky. Clouds may gather, but the sky beneath holds steady. In the center of the chest, there is a sun that continues to glow. Even if hidden for a time, that sun is mercy. That light is hope. I speak now about forgiveness, but lightly. Forgiveness is not a demand. It is a gift to the one who has been wounded and to the one who aches. To forgive is to unclench the hands. It is to free space for rest. If forgiving seems impossible tonight, let the word rest on the lips. Perhaps in the morning, it will feel more real. For now, the small act of wanting to be free is enough. There is also a word about courage, but it is quiet. Courage in the night is simply the decision to trust the small steps of kindness, to rise gently and care for one's own heart, to speak softly to a friend, to set boundaries with tenderness. Courage grows in slow rhythms. It is often a series of tiny mercies. I promise not to press heavy doctrine into the listening space. This hour is about comfort and refuge. It is about hope that is more like a soft hand than a list of points. I read to restore the inner weather. I read to remind the weary that grace is like a steady instrument, subtle and true. As I open the book, I move slowly. Each paragraph will be given room to breathe. After a few lines, I pause. Let the words sink. Let the sentences fold into sleep if they need to. Let the phrases land on the heart like gentle rain. Not a downpour. Between readings, a moment of silence will hold the stillness. Use those quiet spaces to inhale peace and to exhale release. If memories of the day return, bring them to the center without shame. Place them on the table of this hour. Allow the light of the read words to fall on them. Watch them transform from jagged edges into softer shapes. Let compassion move over them like a salve. When fear tries to speak in the dark, replay a steady phrase that rises from these listening moments. It need not be large. A simple truth will do. Mercy reaches here. Hope is not final proof against sorrow. Instead, it is a steady companion for the night. Let that companion sit beside the bed. If sleep deepens, the reading continues like a lullaby. The voice will stay low and even. The rhythm will be calm. If the mind drifts and then returns, greet it without scolding. The practice is gentle. The habit grows with patience. Tonight, I will read from texts that show rest as a gift rather than a task. Rest is not punishment. It is an appointed place. It is a space for the soul to regenerate. Let the words show rest in images of cool shade, of flowing water, of a quiet harvest. Each picture softens the inner landscape. I choose phrases that emphasize tenderness. The language will be direct and unadorned. It will avoid confusing images. The aim is clarity and warmth. The voice seeks to cradle the listener, not to challenge. As the reading proceeds, small prayers will rise. They are not arguments. They are simple offerings. A prayer for the sick nearby. A prayer for those who grieve. A prayer for stillborn hearts. If one does not wish to pray aloud, simply let the thought be a soft hope carried inward, where doubt appears. I invite patient companionship rather than quick answers. Doubt often knocks when the night is thick. I will sit with it. I will let the words bring solace rather than tidy solutions. In the tension of doubt, mercy holds steady. It does not demand immediate clarity. It offers company. Imagine the book as a window. Through it, light filters that warms the corners of the mind. The images are not complex. They are like small stones, smooth and placed where tired feet can step. Each one helps the listener move toward rest. The program tonight unfolds slowly. Several readings will follow, each with its own pause. Gentle reflections will follow selected passages. Between readings, moments of silence will be wide. Music, if present, will be soft and spare. The aim is unhurried solace. If the mind asks for reason, simple reasons are given. Mercy matters because it steadies the heart. Hope matters because it keeps one moving when the path is thin. Grace matters because none of us manage perfectly. These reasons do not erase pain. They hold it delicately and offer a place to breathe. Now, prepare to listen. Make the body comfortable again. If lying down is best, do so. If sitting upright is safer, that is good. Tuck a throw over the legs. Close the eyes if it helps. If not, gaze at one soft point Let the evening slow. I begin with a reading that paints quiet pastures and cool streams. Hear the cadence of care in each line. Allow the passages to settle into the heart as a reminder that rest is not earned by busyness. It is given, offered like a cup of warm tea to a tired soul. As the first sentences unfold, imagine the scene they create. Picture a field where the wind moves in calm waves. Picture a stream that reflects the sky like a mirror. Picture a voice that calls the name of each weary traveler and invites them to sit a while. Let the vision be soft and steady. I will pause after a few lines to allow the echo to remain. In the silence, keep the breath slow. Let the peace expand into the spaces between ribs. Allow tension to fall away like old leaves. This hour is a shelter. It is a place where mercy is practiced gently and hope grows quietly. Sleep, if it comes, will be invited with dignity. Wakefulness will be cradled with kindness. The reading is not a test. It is a gift. Now, together, we step into the first passage. The voice moves forward with care. The room holds the words. The night watches like a patient friend. In that watchfulness, find rest. I lower my voice a little more. The lamp slips into amber. The room keeps its slow rhythm. The house exhales into evening. The world outside begins to fall away. Make a small change where you sit. Shift 1 inch. Adjust a cushion. Bring a blanket up to the knees. These are small comforts. They matter. A small change tells the body that the day can rest. Imagine now a narrow path. It is soft beneath the feet. Grass bends without sound. The path leads to a small garden. There are low hedges and a single wooden bench. Light filters through leaves. The light is warm, not harsh. The bench waits without question. Walk slowly along that path. Each step is deliberate. Count the steps only in your mind. 1, 2, 3. Notice the texture of the ground. Notice a faint scent of earth and something floral. Notice the hush between leaves. When the bench meets the feet, sit down gently. Let the weight find the wood. Allow the ribs to soften. Let attention rest on one sense for a moment. Hear the hush of the garden. It is not empty. It holds small sounds, a far bird, the soft creak of a branch, a distant bell that fades. Let those sounds be a backdrop. They do not demand anything. They simply exist with the breath. Now turn the attention inward. Name one thing that feels heavy tonight. Think of it like a smooth stone. Hold it lightly in the mind. Set it on the bench beside you. You need not change it now. You need only place it there. The stone rests. You breathe. I sit with a book in my hands. This book is the Gospel according to Matthew. Its edges are softened. The paper holds a faint warmth from many previous readings. I do not read to solve. I read to ease. I read to offer images that settle the heart. The Gospel of Matthew carries a steady rhythm. It moves from scenes of daily life to scenes of deep mercy. It shows people who are tired and people who find ways to hope. It speaks in images rather than in lists. Tonight I choose those images. I let them unfold slowly. First, Picture a field where wheat grows in calm rows. The wind moves across the stalks like a slow tide. The field is not frantic. Birds do not pluck at every head of grain. The care in the field is gentle. The farmer's hands are measured. This image says that growth need not be rushed. It rests in seasons. Next, imagine a small child wrapped in a blanket on a parent's lap. The child is not busy with worry. The blanket is thin and steady. The lap holds. This scene carries a quiet promise. Safety is not always loud. It is often soft and steady. There are also images of small creatures. They find food. They find shelter. The sky does not drop anything unnecessary on them. The presence that watches over them offers what is needed day by day. This is not an argument about provision. It is a comfort that the ordinary tides of life include care. I read a passage now in my own words. Hear it as a gentle paraphrase, not as a test. The words move slowly. There is an offer to the worn, an open invitation to those who have carried burdens too long. It speaks of rest that comes when shoulders unhold their loads. The rest is not earned by proving worth. It is given as a shelter to wearied travelers. Let that idea sink in. Picture a small room with a soft chair. There is no roster at the door. Anyone who enters may sit. Another image speaks of quiet teaching. A gentle companion takes the hand of one who is overwhelmed. The tone is modest. The companion asks only that the heavy steps learn softer ways. This learning is not sharp. It is a slow bending toward peace. If the word learn feels like effort, think instead of turning toward a warm light. The light does not quiz. It warms. A refrain appears about mercy. Mercy is shown as an action more than a concept. It is like a hand laid on a fevered head. It is like a bandage placed where the hurt is deepest. Mercy is patient. It does not hurry the healing. It gives time for the body and the heart to mend. I linger on images of forgiveness. Lightly. Forgiveness is not a demand to forget. It is a gentle unbinding. Imagine fingers loosening a knot instead of cutting through cloth. The knot relaxes. Space opens where clasping used to be. The breath has room. There is a line about worry, told again in images rather than in strict advice. The picture shows a linen field or a single blade of grass. The care given to such simple things becomes an invitation to trust small rhythms. Tomorrow's tasks do not have to be carried tonight. The night has a job of its own. Its work is to rest the limbs, quiet the mind, and let repair begin. On the bench in the garden, the hands fold in the lap. The posture is neither rigid nor collapsed. It holds space for hope. Hope here looks like attention that is kind to itself. It is the small choice to breathe and to stay present. Hope does not erase pain. It makes room for it. I read this in a slow cadence. After each brief paraphrase, pause. Let the moment sit. Allow the images to meet whatever is present in the listener. If sleep arrives, that is good. If the eyes remain open, that is good. 2. The aim is calm. Between the images, I pause and breathe. The pauses are long enough for a thought to land. They are not empty. They are part of the reading. They give the grace of silence. Use them to rest. Now imagine hands that mend nets. A fisherman sits on a low stool at dusk. His hands move with a rhythm learned over years. They are careful and patient. The mending takes time. No hurry exists at this hour. This scene is a quiet lesson on taking the small tasks and tending them faithfully. It suggests that healing may be the work of many small repairs rather than a single dramatic change. Another scene places a lamp in a low window. The lamp does not shine to boast. It offers a small pool of light for one who walks at night. The light guides without demanding. Let that lamp be a symbol of a steady presence that does not overwhelm. As I shape these images, I press gently on a few promises. They are not doctrinal towers. They are simple assurances presence. Carré. Rest. These are offered like blankets on chairs. They do not force a single solution. They simply hold space. Abrief brayer rises now. It is small and careful. It asks that the night give rest where exhaustion rules. It asks for coolness where fever burns. It asks for steadiness when hands shake. If the word prayer feels heavy, treat it like a wish wrapped in light. Let it pass like a breeze and land softly. There is a thought for the lonely. Picture a neighbor's door, left open at dusk. Someone sits at the table with a cup of tea. The cup is a modest comfort. A neighbor's presence speaks of company rather than counsel. It is a simple reminder that loneliness can be met by small acts. Think also of those who grieve. Grief has its own seasons. It does not obey clocks. Grief sometimes walks beside the living, like a companion that does not demand answers. The reading does not fix grief. It holds a corner of it kindly. A quiet encouragement appears for those burdened by failure. Failure does not erase value. Consider it a shattered pot that still catches rain. The pieces can hold new water. The heart can be mended with patience and a few steady hands. I keep the language plain. The tone is gentle. There is no rush to convert the listener to certainty. The aim is to steady the breath and to shape images that carry mercy. If rest comes now, let it come. If wakefulness remains, let the wakefulness be gentle. The night does not demand a verdict. It offers a place to begin again when morning comes. I turn a page quietly and prepare a few lines that speak of small trust. The trust is not about solving every problem. It is about a single step toward gentleness. Consider putting down one task for the morning. Write it on a slip of paper and place it by the bedside. The slip will wait without complaint. This act is a tiny mercy to the mind. There is also a quiet word about courage. Courage tonight looks like staying with tenderness when the instinct seeks to harden. It looks like choosing rest when pride pushes for busyness. These are small acts of bravery. Now I offer a brief blessing. May your chest feel lighter. May the shoulders loosen their clamps. May a small light warm the corners of the heart. May the night give enough restoration to face the new day. These wishes rest like small stones placed on the bench beside you. They do not carry weight unless you give it to them. If this hour brings solace, consider the gentle work of passing it on. Share this moment with another. Tell them of the garden path. Invite them to sit on the bench in the imagination. A quiet word can ripple into gentle changes. Before moving to longer readings, take 3 slow breaths in your own time. Let each breath be easy and unforced. Notice how the body responds. Let the shoulders rest a little more with each exhalation. Keep the jaw soft. Allow the brow to smooth. I will now read more slowly from a portion that speaks of simple care. The cadence will be steady. The sentences will have room between them. Listen as if to rain on a tin roof. Let each drop find its place. When the next part begins, the voice will remain low. The pauses will widen. If sleep takes the night, I will continue like a quiet tide. If wakefulness holds, the images will be offered again in new ways. Either is welcome. For now, stay on the bench in the garden a while longer. Feel the wood beneath you. Hear the hush. Let the lamp of the room match the lamp of the window in the image. We move forward slowly, step by step, with mercy as our guide. I lower the lamp a fraction more. The bench becomes darker around the edges. The garden hush deepens. My hands rest on the open page. The paper is warm from a dozen nights like this. The gospel sits ready. I read slowly. I do not rush the lines. A simple invitation rests at the center of this passage. It is for those whose shoulders sag. It calls to those who carry long loads. It is not a summons to prove worth. It is a plain calling to come close and set down what is heavy. Hear the idea like a small bell at dusk. It rings once and waits. I say the words gently in my own voice. An invitation stands before the tired. The promise follows that rest will be given. The language is soft. It is an offer more than a command. Picture the road at evening. The traveler moves slowly. A low porch light appears. The traveler sees a place to ting stop. The knees relax. The pack is eased. There is also a promise of learning. The learning is not harsh. It is like a teacher who walks along a path beside a friend. The teacher bends to show how to move without strain. The tone is mild. The steps become easier when shared. The burden itself grows lighter in the company of gentle guidance. I pause after each image. The silence holds them. Let the pause allow the invitation to land. Breathe in, breathe out. Each breath makes space for the idea to sit under the ribs. Allow the chest to accept the possibility of relief. Nothing has to change immediately. The thought of rest is itself a small comfort. Imagine a sack on tired shoulders. It is filled with the day fragments of conversation. A mischance, a medical appointment, a nagging worry, a name that will not leave the mind. Take the sack off in the imagination. Lay it beside the bench. Feel the straps loosen. Notice the shoulders drop an inch. The neck softens. The jaw unclenches. The heart has a little more room. Do not mistake ease for weakness. Rest here is active kindness. It tends the self the way a gardener tends a wounded tree, rather than shaking it hard to see if it stands. A gardener prunes gently. Water is given. Soil is made softer. The tree is allowed to mend at its pace. Rest takes the same shape. It gives time and warmth and attention. The passage offers a picture of a yoke, though I speak of it simply. The yoke here is not meant to crush. It is meant to fit. It is shaped to rest across the shoulders in balance. Think of 2 planks joined softly. holding a light load between them. The work asked of the one who wears it is steady and measured. The companion who provides the yoke knows how to balance it, so the walk becomes possible. That is mercy, at work shaping a path not for perfection, but for endurance. I read another small line in paraphrase. The promise says that the heart will find rest, not a rest that removes feeling, not a rest that denies pain, a rest that steadies the pulse, a rest that allows breath to return to an even pace, like a lamp that warms rather than blinds. It soothes rather than shocks. Picture a shallow stream near the garden. Its water moves slow and smooth across small stones. Kneel by that stream. Cup the coolness in the palm. Let it touch the face. Imagine the stone of a burden slipped into the water. Watch the current nudge it. Then carry it downstream a little way. The stone remains, but its weight is less heavy to the one resting on the bank. The act itself is not magical. It is gentle and real. A short breathing practice follows the picture. Inhale slowly through the nose. 4 counts. Pause half a beat. Exhale softly. 5 counts. With each out-breath, name one small thing to release. Let the name be plain. Like a label, do not argue with it. Announce it. And let the breath push it a little farther from the center. Repeat 3 times. Feel the shoulders ease as the breaths lengthen. There is room here also for the quiet teaching in the passage. The teacher's voice is not loud. It asks only that the learner move toward a softer rhythm. This is not a lecture about failure or success. It is an invitation to practice gentleness. Imagine footsteps that learn to match the pace of the companion. The walk becomes an exchange rather than a contest. Mercy shows up as small acts. A hand placed on a fevered forehead. A cup of water given in the night. A note left on a pillow. These are not dramatic rescues. They are the steady work of care. The passage encourages looking for such small mercies and letting them be the balm of the evening. I take a moment to speak toward forgiveness in a delicate way. Forgiveness is an untying more than an erasing. Picture fingers at a knot. They do not force the rope. They coax the loop apart. Each small movement frees a bit of tension. The act is slow and patient. It does not demand immediate reconciliation. It opens the possibility of repair. When the night presses with questions, the passage does not answer all of them. It offers companionship instead. Doubt can sit beside the listener without being ashamed. The companion does not insist on a tidy solution. Presence alone speaks enough for now. This is an important mercy company without a checklist. A kid prayer rise, brief and unobtrusive. It asks that the night bring rest to restless minds. It asks for steady hands for those who care at dawn hours. It asks that simply being present be enough for those who feel inadequate. If the word prayer seems heavy, imagine it as a gentle wish placed on the windowsill. Where the breeze can take it, there is a tender picture for the lonely. The invitation reaches across empty rooms. It places a small cup of tea on a table. It leaves a chair with a folded blanket. The gesture says, "You may come and sit." The invitation respects privacy. It does not overwhelm. It simply offers a place to be. For those carrying grief, the passage permits slow movement. Grief is not hurried away. It is held. Picture a lamp placed by a bedside. It does not banish the dark. It makes the shape of the room visible. In the same way, the promise of rest makes the contours of sorrow possible to see by soft light. The sorrow can be tended without being forced to speak its whole story. A gentle encouragement about courage appears also. Courage tonight is not loud. It is the small act of keeping a hand open when the instinct is to clamp. It is the resolve to let kindness be the first response. Even toward oneself. These are quiet, ordinary bravery, acts that often go unnoticed, but hold great power. I give a small practical suggestion. Take one ordinary task from the mind and set it aside until morning. Fold that task into a small note and place it near the bedside. The note can be simple. The act of transferring worry into a physical object makes room in the mind. The note does not solve the task. It simply moves it out of the center of the night. The voice softens further. The rhythm slows. The reading becomes almost a hum. Images repeat in new shapes. The bench, the stream, the lamp. Each image encourages a different way to rest. Each one is a doorway to a small mercy. I keep the language plain on purpose. The aim is not to persuade, but to cradle. The aim is to let the listener find a single image that can be carried into sleep. It might be the weightless feeling after placing the bag down. It might be the cool of the stream. It might be the warmth of the lamp. Choose one and let it stay. Before moving on, breathe 3 times in the slow pattern practiced earlier. With each exhale, imagine the load shifting a little more. Let the body accept the tiny changes. Arms feel lighter. The jaw unclenches. The chest softens. I offer a short blessing now. May the shoulders find ease. May the chest know a steady breath. May the small lights of mercy sit like lamps in the corners of the heart. May rest come in ways that honor the day's labor and soothe the night's long watching. If sleep takes over, let it come gently. If wakefulness remains, allow it to be a quiet companion. Either state receives the same care. Tonight is not a test of faith. It is a space of shelter. I close the page for a moment and feel the spine of the book. It will open again in a little while. There are more passages waiting, each with its own hush. For now, hold the invitation lightly. Let the promise of rest be a soft thing to tuck into the chest. When I rise from the bench in the imaginal garden, the path is the same, but the step is easier. The lamp in the window glows a little steadier. The sack sits by the bench, but the shoulders that carried it are resting. The garden keeps its quiet work. We will move on to another passage in time. The next reading will carry similar images and a continued offering of mercy. But for this piece of the night, let the simple invitation be enough. Come close. Lay down what is heavy. Learn the gentle way. Rest for a while. I stay here a moment longer. Patient and slow, the room and the garden breathe together. The lamp keeps its small circle of care. Let that care settle like dust that will not sting the eyes. The hour is a pocket of gentleness. The promise is not a demand. It is a place to rest. Now, with a soft breath, the reading draws to a gentle close for this part. Keep the images, keep the lamp, keep the bench. The path remains open. When the voice returns, we will walk it together again. For tonight, rest here. The lamp lowers again. The circle of light grows softer. I speak in a voice that keeps its slow rhythm. I keep the page open and the book warm in my hands. The garden bench from before remains in the mind. The path that leads to it keeps its hush. Tonight, I turn to a tender offer in the gospel. It is an invitation for the exhausted. It is an invitation for anyone who feels the pack pressing at the shoulders. The invitation is simple. It asks the weary to come near. It promises rest. It does not demand proof of strength or a tidy list of achievements. It asks only that the heavy be brought close and laid down. Imagine the traveler again. The pack is heavy, with a day full of small things, names that fret the mind, chores left unfinished, a strained relationship, news that arrived with a clench in the chest. Picture each item as a stone wrapped in a scrap of cloth. One by one, set them on the bench beside you. Do not sort them. Do not judge them. Place them gently. Breathe. Now picture a companion at the bench. The companion is steady. Hands are not cold or distant. They are warm. The offer is not to take the stones as proof of failure. The offer is to hold them for a while, so that the shoulders may release. Imagine the hands receiving that first wrapped stone. Feel the strap of the pack loosen. The neck releases an inch. The breath finds a new length. This is the way of the invitation. It teaches rest as an act of trusting the presence that watches the path. The word rest here is not a reward for proving worth. It is a refuge for the worn. Rest looks like a sheltered alcove in which the heart can quiet its pace. Rest is a practical kindness. It is the removal of burdens from the back and the placement of them in safe hands. There is also a word about learning. The companion does not simply take burdens and leave the traveler passive. The companion walks beside and guides. The learning is gentle. It is less about rules and more about rhythm. Imagine two people learning to carry a pole together. At first one stumbles. The other adjusts. They find a pace that fits both. The pole rests across them more easily. In that way, the burden is reshaped into a shared way of moving. The teaching here helps the shoulders find balance rather than snapping under strain. Turn now to a different scene from the same book. It is a small story about mercy. The image is of a ledger and of persons bound by debts of the heart. The story points away from counting and toward letting go. Once, a person kept track of wrongs like marks on a slate. A second person came with a small failing and a big need for mercy. The first one received mercy that wiped away far more than a small sum. Yet, later, that same person held tightly to a small hurt and would not release it. This tale is not a lesson in arithmetic. It is a lesson in habit. It shows how keeping score wears the hands thin. It suggests that mercy meant to be received is meant to be passed on. The lesson is quiet. Forgive without keeping a running tally. Forgiveness, practiced like a small daily act, lightens the load. It frees the hands to hold what truly matters. Consider a simple practice to go with this thought. Take one imagined ledger from the mind. It may be a thin card or a small notebook. On the card, write the single name or incident that binds the chest tonight. Keep the writing slow and controlled. Do not try to fix what happened, just name it. Then fold the card gently and place it beside the bench in the garden. Imagine a soft wind lifting the edge of the paper and carrying it a little farther from the center. There is no need to force a big miracle. The act of handing over the memory, however small, begins to loosen the grip. Forgiveness does not pretend harm never happened. It does not ask for forgetting like erasing pictures from a wall. It asks instead for a change in how the heart carries the image. Think of a knotted rope around a wrist. Forgiveness works like fingers at that rope, patiently unwinding, creating space where there was none. It takes time. It often requires small, repeated movements. The aim is not to rush, but to practice untying. A gentle reminder follows. Forgiveness includes forgiving oneself. Many of the burdens on the bench come from personal regrets and unkind choices. These stones are heavy because they are carried internally all night long. Offer one of those stones to the steady hands as well. Picture placing the stone down and watching it sit among the others. There is room. The hands hold it too. The act of giving away a portion of self-accusation can be as simple and quiet as lowering the shoulders. Breath becomes part of this work. Breathe in slowly. Count 4. Keep the inhalation smooth. Hold only a whisper. Breathe out for 5. With each out-breath, imagine a small knot of worry loosening. Say nothing aloud. The rhythm itself is the practice. Do this 3 times. Notice how the shoulders drop fractionally with each exhale. Let the small drop be enough for now. The parable I just described points to a mercy without measure. It invites repeating mercy again and again. Imagine a river of small forgivenesses flowing steady through the garden. Each one is not a spectacle. Each is a soft stream. They gather into a larger flow that moves the stones a little further from the bench. The heart learns to trust that small acts matter. Little by little, the path back toward rest becomes clearer. There is a careful mercy toward those who cannot yet forgive. The book does not shame them. It sits with them. Presence is offered before policy. If forgiving another seems impossible tonight, imagine instead holding a small space where forgiveness might one day grow. That space can be as modest as an empty cup on a windowsill. It does not demand fruit. It simply stays open. I offer a tiny exercise for those who wrestle with a hard memory. Picture the memory as a leaf floating on the stream. Watch it move without chasing it. Notice the color. Notice the small sound it makes. If the memory aches, allow that feeling to be named inside the body. Hold it behind soft eyes. Then let the stream carry the leaf downstream for a few moments. Do this without forcing the memory away. Let the water do the work of distance. Forgiving the self sometimes needs a practical gesture. A simple one is to write, in a small hand, a phrase that says, "I will try again." Fold the paper and place it under the pillow. The act is not the sum of the whole struggle. It is a small promise of better tending. It creates a pocket of mercy between the teeth and the pillow, which is often where shame settles. The two teachings together come and rest, and forgive without counting work toward the same goal. Both ask that the load be reshaped. Both teach the heart to move differently. Both invite trust in a presence steady enough to receive what is offered. Rest grows when the hands do not have to clutch so tightly. Mercy grows when the hands are freed to clasp the neighbor rather than clutch the ledger. A kid prayer, rise now. Brief and gentle. Ask only for help to place one stone on the bench. Ask for patience with the small undoing of knots. Ask for the courage to breathe in new rhythms. Let the prayer be a soft wish rather than a demand. Place it in the lap of the evening and leave it there while the breath continues. If sleep comes, let these images accompany it. The lamp becomes a nightlight in the mind. The bench stays available. The companion remains at hand. Worries may still lift their heads in the dark. When they do, imagine the trusted hands taking them for a while. The habit of handing over is itself a practice that grows with repetition. If wakefulness keeps watch, allow that wakefulness to be curious rather than critical. Notice which stones are easiest to give away. Notice which knots resist the fingers. Offer the easy ones first. Give them a place to rest. Often that act alone softens the rest. And the more stubborn weights move when the light is steady. There is a small ritual to end this reading. Take the list of burdens you imagined at the start. Choose one. Give it a name, no longer than a single breath. Place it softly on the bench beside you. Imagine the companion taking that single item with both hands. Feel the shoulders lighten a small degree. Breathe in, breathe out. Stay with the easing for a moment. Let the thought be enough. I stay with the voice low. I hold the book close. The night keeps its slow work. The garden outside the window waits. The path remains. When morning comes, the steps may still be slow. They may be cautious. That is all right. Mercy is patient. Rest is not a finish line, but a shelter to return to again. Now, a blessing. Quiet and spare. May the shoulders find relief. May the chest know even a small ease. May forgiveness be offered and received. Like water poured on thirsty soil, may the habit of handing burdens over become gentle and true. Let the lamp of mercy glow a little longer tonight. I close the page for this portion. The bench stays in the imagination. The companion remains beside it. Hands available. The garden hush keeps the night company. Rest here as long as needed. When I come again, we will sit together and read further. For now, breathe. Lay down one stone and rest. The lamp breathes a little lower. The page warms under my hand. I keep the voice small and even. Tonight, I speak of a mercy that does not run out. I speak of forgiveness as a wide place where the heart can rest. Forgiveness is not a quick fix. It is not a polished answer that erases hardship. Instead, it feels like a landscape that opens when the load is loosened. Pictura coast. The tide pulls and returns. The shore keeps its shape, even as water comes and goes. Grace behaves like that tide. It meets the hurt again and again. It does not count the times. It simply reaches. I say the word mercy and mean gentleness in action. Mercy softens the edges of a memory. It does not pretend there was no hurt. It allows the hurt to be seen under a kinder light. The act of forgiving gives the hands back some freedom. Freed hands can hold a mug, fix a seam, or rest in a lap. That freedom is not fanciful. It is small and practical. Let me tell a quiet story, one that is kept close. It is not famous or dramatic. It is only ours. Once, a long season of distance lay between me and someone dear. The distance grew from sharp words and a misunderstanding that hardened into habit, days filled with the small tasks of life. The rift sat like a stone on a shelf. I learned to move around it. That felt normal for a while. But normal had a cost. Waking each morning carried a thin ache. One evening I sat by the lamp and turned that ache into a single small action. I wrapped a loaf of bread in a napkin. I tucked a note inside that said nothing complicated. The note carried only an admission of weariness and a willingness to try. I walked the short way to a familiar porch. The house smelled of old wood and rain. I left the parcel where a hand might find it easily. I did not demand answers. I waited. The next day, a slow reply came. No loud reconciliation unfolded. Instead, a small paper came back with a pressed leaf between the folds. The leaf spoke of remembering a childhood day under a maple. A memory softened into another memory. That was enough to begin. We met later, not in a rush, but by degrees. The first time our hands touched, it felt chaotisch. The second time, the hands held something in common, a mended seam on an old garment. A quilt patched over years, sitting together. We moved fingers along thread that had once been split. The act of mending proved more honest than any speech. The needle moved patient stitches. With each stitch, old edges drew nearer and held. The work did not erase the hurt. It taught how to carry it differently. What I want to tell you now is simple. Grace shows up in small, repeated acts. A loaf of bread, a pressed leaf, a shared mending. These are humble things. They ask for time and steadiness. They do not demand that the past change its facts. They change how the present holds them. Forgiveness often begins inside the quiet. It starts with a choice to name one small thing to offer away. The choice feels like loosening a knot, just enough to slip a finger through. The knot may tighten again. That is allowed. The practice is patient. Now, I offer a gentle pause. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold a whisper. Breathe out for 5 counts. With each out-breath, imagine one small knot at the heart loosening. Say to yourself, without sound, the name of one stone you set down tonight. Let it rest on the bench in the garden of the mind. If reconciliation with another is the hope, begin with what you can do without forcing the other. Send a small thing. Leave an image that carries warmth. Offer a single sentence that does not press. A small parcel matters more than a long argument. Time matters more than proof of intention. Expect no immediate end. Expect small openings. If forgiving the self is what presses tonight, listen kindly. Guilt can become a steady weight. It sits where shoulders meet the neck. Try this. Take a page or a scrap of paper and write a short sentence, beginning with I am. It need not be perfect. Keep it to 3 words. Fold the paper twice. Place it under your pillow. The act is a pledge to try again in gentleness. The pledge asks no heroics. It asks only a softer beginning. Forgiveness lives in repetition. The first attempt rarely completes the work. The second attempt may come with a tremor. The third may bring a little warmth. The important thing is a steady return, like tending a small fire. Feed it with humble things. Do not expect it to blaze. Let it keep the room comfortable. When reconciliation is possible, listen more than speak. Listening creates room. It does not erase the past. It partners with it. In the story I told, the mending happened because hands worked together on a shared object. In your life, the shared object might be a memory, a meal, a common care. Shared work heals differently than a talk. If the other person cannot or will not respond, the mercy offered does not vanish. It becomes a gift kept by the giver. That gift quiets the chest. It removes the need to clutch a ledger of scores. Keeping the gift does not guarantee relief, but it opens a place of calm inside the giver. Mercy moves you toward that calm whether or not reciprocity follows. Now, gentle questions to carry with the breath. These are not demands. They are invitations. Who sits in the quiet corner of my heart? Waiting for a small act. What tiny thing can I give that risks nothing but time? Which knot inside me needs patience, not force. How might a single stitch change the way I carry a memory? Sit with one question. Breathe into it. Let the answer be a single action. Not a long plan. Keep the action small enough to do by tomorrow morning. I add a short practice for tonight. Take the imaginary bench in the garden. Set one stone there. Name it briefly. Imagine a steady hand, warm and unhurried, taking that one stone and placing it in a basket. Feel the shoulders drop a fraction. Breathe 3 slow breaths. Keep the image for a minute. Let it sit like a quiet bird on a branch. If fear of forgiveness feels real, honor it. Fear often accompanies tenderness. The heart protects itself. This protection may be wise. It may also be an old habit. A gentle test will show which it is. Offer one small, cautious mercy. See how the chest responds. If it stiffens, step back. Try again later. If it softens, return and add another small act. Remember that grace flows both ways. Receiving forgiveness can be as awkward as giving it. When forgiveness comes, let it be. Do not invent demands for proof. Accept the small thing offered. Let it sit in the lap like a warm tea. Sip slowly. I keep my voice low as I speak of a companion many of us know. Christ's mercy offers a steady presence during these small acts. It does not judge the pace. It welcomes each offering. It stays patient when the hands tremble. This is not a lesson in theology. It is an encouragement to believe that a presence accompanies the work of forgiving, like a lamp beside the sewing table. The pace of the night suits this work. The dark eases the impulse to shout. It favors small gestures. Use it well. Tomorrow's light will not judge the slowness. It will only find the next stitch already begun. If it helps, Choose one practical step now. It may be, fold a small note and place it in a drawer. Do not mail it. Keep it as a first bridge. Prepare a simple meal to leave at a door. Let the food do the speaking. Lay a hand on a worn quilt and mend a loose patch. Make the mending small and steady. Send a picture of a shared memory with a short caption of thanks. Keep the steps so small that refusal would not feel like catastrophe. Smallness invites repetition. Before the section closes, breathe with me once more. Inhale 4. Hold a whisper. Exhale 5. With the out-breath, imagine a tide nudging a stone. Watch it move a little way. Let that movement be enough for tonight. Forgiveness is not a single unlocked gate. It is a path of small clearings. Each clearing offers a view. The view will sometimes show remnants of pain. That is honest. The view will also show small trees planted where once there were only rocks. Plant a tiny tree by the bench tonight. It may be only a sapling. It will not need a proclamation. Water it with patience. I close this part with a soft blessing. May the hands find courage to set down one small stone. May the heart reserve a gentle space for a slow mending. May mercy come like a lamp in the night, steady and uninsisting. May rest follow the act. Whether giving or receiving, the book rests. The lamp keeps its quiet circle. The garden and the bench wait. Carry one small action into the dark and let it sit there until morning. When I return, we will walk the path again together, with the same low voice and the same patient light. For now, breathe, offer one gentle mercy, and rest. The lamp keeps its small arc of light. The house breathes softly. I sit with the book open and the page turned to a passage I read tonight. I do not read the words exactly. I put them into plain speech. I hold the passage lightly, like a warm cup. I tell the line this way: forgiving others matters, because forgiveness opens a place in us where forgiveness can be received. It is not a bargain. It is a practice. In the room where I read, the idea sounds like a low bell. The bell rings once, then it rests. I explain what I mean, slowly. Forgiveness is not erasing memory. It does not pretend harm never touched the skin. It does not deny right boundaries. Instead, it offers release. Release makes space. Space allows sleep. Space invites mercy to enter. Think of the ledger again. I imagine a small book of scores. Each page shows a line for every hurt. Keeping the score makes the hands busy. The chest stays tight. The eyes close less easily. When I hand that ledger to someone steadier than I am, the hands unclench. They can rest on a lap. They can fold a blanket over the knees. That handing is the quiet act the passage asks for. I speak of mercy as action, not only as thought. Mercy moves like a TD. It comes up the shore and pulls back without counting each shell. To practice mercy is to let one small thing go. The first letting go is the hardest. The second grows easier. The habit builds slowly. Tonight, I ask listeners to try one small act with me. Imagine the garden bench. The bench is steady. Place one stone there that has been heavy on the heart. Name it in your mind with only a single breath. It might be a small offense. It might be a long ache. Do not argue with it. Lay it down. Now picture hands reaching from the lamplit doorway. These hands hold nothing but steadiness. They do not take the stone to punish. They hold it so your shoulders may ease. When you hand the stone over in this image, notice how the neck relaxes a fraction. Do not expect a sudden vanishing. Expect a slight change. The breath finds an extra inch. I speak of forgiveness toward others. I also speak of forgiving oneself. Shame often hides in the same pockets as anger. It weighs differently. Gently, choose one thing you have been blaming yourself for. Wrap it in a small cloth in your imagination. Walk it to the bench. Leave it there beside the other stones. The hands by the doorway, take this one too. The action is slow. That slowness is mercy. There is a caution in this gentle work. Forgiveness does not mean exposing yourself to continued harm. Forgiveness can coexist with wisdom. Releasing a grievance does not require returning to a place that still hurts you. Think of forgiving as taking the load off your back while keeping steps steady and cautious. The bed of safety remains. I paraphrase the passage another way. If I keep holding another's wrong, I stay heavy. If I choose to let it go, I open a place inside where I can notice grace when it comes. The passage suggests that mercy moves in circles. What I give out is the soil where receiving grows. The words ask only for the practice, not for proof. A simple exercise follows. Breathe slowly with me. Inhale for 4 counts. Pause briefly. Exhale for 5. On the out-breath, imagine the stone sliding a little way into the palms that wait. Repeat 3 times. With each out-breath, picture the stone moving farther from the center. Do not hurry. Let the movement be small and true. Sometimes, forgiveness looks like a tiny ritual. I describe one I use. Take a scrap of paper, write the name or the wound on it. Fold the paper twice. Place it under a small cup beside the lamp. The cup does not rid the world of pain. It simply keeps the named thing in a soft place. The paper under the cup can be moved later. The act alone changes the hands. If the wound is recent, the first forgiving will be thin and fragile. That is all right. Forgiving once does not demand that I forget. It only asks that I practice handing over. The practice is more important than the perfection of the moment. Mercy builds by repetition, not by one great gesture. I speak now about the one who watches the night. I do not unpack deep doctrine. I offer an image. See a lamp in the window of a house at the edge of the path. The lamp is steady. It watches without hurry. That watching is like the presence that rests with us. It does not tally slips. It keeps an eye that is kind and patient. Under that watchful care, stones can be left without fear. Picture the lamp's light warming the path where you walk. The path is soft. The steps are measured. The watcher does not demand sudden change. It only keeps the light steady for as long as you need. That steadiness invites sleep. It invites the chest to carry less tightness into the night. I describe forgiveness in small, everyday acts. A brief note left at a door. A cup of soup set down on a stoop. A short, honest sentence, sent and then forgotten. These acts do not solve everything. They do one thing well. They open the hands. When hands are open, mercy can rest there like a small bird. There is another quiet point I offer. Sometimes I forgive not because the other person asks, but because I need to unclench my own hands. This is practical. It changes how I move through tomorrow. It quiets the dreaming mind. It does not require a triumphant reconciliation. It requires only the choice to change how I hold what happened. I include a gentle imagination for the worried mind. Picture a slow river beside the garden bench. Place the stone you named on the bank. Watch the current nudge it. The stone does not float away entirely. It moves. It finds a new place. The movement matters more than the destination. The current is honest, but not cruel. If the wound is tied to a person you must see tomorrow, add a safety step. Keep the boundary firm. Hand over the grievance with a clear intention to keep yourself safe. Forgiveness and safety can live together. They do not contradict. Mercy does not demand exposure. I offer a quiet prayer now, short and spare. It asks for help to place one small burden on the bench. It asks for patience to undo knots slowly. It asks that the watchful presence keep a steady light. If prayer feels like a heavy thing, think of it as a wish you tuck into a pocket. The wish does not shout. It waits. There is room for sorrow here too. Forgiveness may not cure loss. It sometimes only makes space around the grief. It lets the grief breathe without elbowing everything else. The night benefits from that breathing. Sleep comes easier when grief has a corner to rest in. Forgiveness also asks for humility from the one who receives it. If mercy comes back to me from someone I have wronged, I accept it with a quiet hand. Do not make the giver prove the mercy. Let it rest on your lap like warm tea. Sip slowly. I keep the tone plain. The message is simple. Let go of one grievance tonight. Practice handing over. Trust a steady watching presence. Let sleep come with less clinging. A small practical suggestion before you close your eyes. Choose one concrete act for tomorrow that grows the mercy you started tonight. It might be sending a note, making a small repair, bringing a cup of water to someone's bed, or folding a worn blanket. Keep the act tiny. Smallness keeps it doable. When difficulty rises, return to the bench in the mind. Revisit the hands that already took the first stone. Place another small thing down. The work is steady. It honors what was real while making room for what can still bloom. I end this part with a short blessing. May your hands find ease. May the chest loosen its grip. May one small mercy be enough to start the rest you need. May the watchful light keep vigil while sleep comes. May the night hold you without pressing. I close the book gently for a moment. The lamp tosses a soft glow across the page. The garden keeps its hush. The bench remains ready. When I open the book again, we will move forward with a slow voice and patient images. For now, breathe. Lay down one small stone and rest under the steady light. The lamp is low. The book rests on my knee. Tonight I tell a small, true story. It is a story about a family and a slow quiet turn toward mercy. Years ago, a household grew thin with distance. Rooms felt full of unspoken things. Meals happened in silence. Birthdays were landmarks of absence rather than celebration. The breach began with a simple hurt, a quick word, a decision taken in haste. No one expected it to widen into a wound that shaped years. Time folded around that wound like paper around a gift that is never opened. I watch the memory as if from a window. The scene is a kitchen at dusk. Light slips through curtains. A kettle hums softly on the stove. The air contains the smell of lemon and worn wood. On the table sits an old tin with tea bags folded like little flags. Near the tin lies a family photograph, edges curled from many hands. Faces in that photograph know each other in a way the present sometimes forgets. A relative, one who had kept distance for a long time, comes back into the house, not with a rush, but with a small plan. The arrival is not announced with fanfare. Instead, a slow, steady rhythm enters the house, the closing of a door, the soft step on creaky flooring, the rustle of a coat. The person moves with a careful steadiness. The eyes look at the room as if checking how the light falls. The hands are steady, but not hurried. There is an offering placed on the table. It is modest. A jar of jam that once belonged to a shared shelf. A bowl of fruit peeled in neat segments. A single, folded photograph slid across the wood. The act is not a grand apology. It is a small, clear thing that says, I notice. It says, I return a little of what I took away. The family member who receives this offering does not erupt. No dramatic confession unfurls. Instead, there is a quiet moment where hands hover over the photograph. Fingers touch the paper as if reading a map. The touch is deliberate, slow. The chest seems to unclench by millimeters. Breath grows long and even. Something inside that has been tight for years finds a space to soften. The forgiveness that follows is not loud. It shows up in one soft act. A hand reaches across the table and rests briefly on the other's wrist. The contact is small. It has no lines of long speeches. The warmth is steady and uncomplicated. Years of friction do not dissolve in that instant. They do not need to. The touch simply says, you are seen. The seeing is the beginning. Over the next weeks, small things change the shape of the home. Plates begin to be passed without haste. A kettle whistles, and someone lifts it to pour tea. Old recipes reappear. A jar of pickles appears on the counter. A chair that had been empty is slowly taken by one who had avoided it. Each small action is a stitch. They do not remake the whole garment at once. They repair a hem, then another, then another. I watch this with something like relief. The relief feels warm and real. Forgiveness, in this family, proves itself practical. It frees the hands to do ordinary tasks together. Mending a torn hem becomes an offering as meaningful as any speech. Folding laundry into tidy piles becomes a ritual of returning, the work of living together. Once frayed, acquires fiber again. There is a day a while later when rain is soft against the windows. Someone brings a tray of mugs. The steam lifts into the dim. Conversation finds a small current and follows it. Laughter comes. Not loud, but easy. Memory finds a path back to safe ground. The ache that had been a constant companion loosens. It is as if the light is longer by an inch. That extra inch matters in the dark. I do not mean to suggest that everything becomes perfect. Old arguments do not disappear because a jar of jam sits on a table. There are nights when old anger resurfaces. There are mornings when the past presses again. But there is now a corridor where the anger can be walked through rather than a wall that must be scaled. The existence of that corridor is the mercy. It allows movement toward repair. One moment stays with me. It is small in scale but large in heart. A family member sits by a bed where another sleeps lightly. After a long day, the bedside lamp casts a pool of light. The hand of the awake one smooths the blanket near the sleeper's shoulder. There is a tenderness that does not dress itself in words. The touch is slow and measured. It carries the weight of many small choices made over time. That touch is an act of forgiveness in miniature. It says, I will care even when I remember the hurt. It says, I choose to tend you tonight rather than keep a ledger of the past. The act does not insist on forgetting. Instead, it moves the heart into a different muscle. The muscle learns to hold mercy actively. It is learning the work of kindness by doing it. Healing looks like that, not as a great undoing, but as repetition of small, honest acts. A pot of soup left on a doorstep, a repair, on a sleeve, sewn with steady stitches, a song hummed while putting away dishes. Each act is a pebble dropped into still water. The rings spread. They do not command the tide, but they set a slow rhythm that changes the shore. I remember times when forgiveness first felt fragile. There was a night when the attempt to reach across the space resulted in an awkward silence. Words faltered. The hands hesitated. For a while it felt like starting again in the dark. Yet the attempt mattered. The mere willingness to risk an awkwardness carried a grace. It proved that mercy was not only a concept but a living thing. Mercy, as I see it in this story, grows in low places. It flourishes in kitchens and on porches. It shows up in the ordinary petitions of daily life. This is not a sermon. It is an observation from a life lived alongside the people I love. The gentle acts of forgiveness bring a slow health. They do not sweep away memory. They make memory a shade rather than a chain. There is a moment when one family member says, without flourish, that they do not have a grand solution. They admit only a willingness to try small things. That admission becomes itself an offering. It opens what had been locked. Owning the smallness of the attempt makes the next attempt possible. The humility in that admission is a kind of courage. I mention Christ in the way one might mention a lamp in a room. The presence is steady, patient, and low. It does not shout to be noticed. It only keeps light where hands work, where stitches are sewn, where tea is poured. That presence does not cancel the pain. It accompanies the slow work that heals it. For listeners who hold that presence dear, it can feel like a companion at the elbow while mending. If you carry a similar wound, There is a small thing to try tonight. Picture the family table where small offerings have been placed. Imagine a simple act you could do that feels possible. It might be preparing a mug of tea for someone who once hurt you. It could be folding a piece of clothing that belongs to them and leaving it where they will find it without surprise. It might be restoring a photograph to an old frame and sliding it back into its place. Keep the act small. Keep it quiet. The point is repetition, not spectacle. If the wound is too fresh for reaching out, start smaller. Tend a corner of the home where memory sits. Sweep it. Set a small object in order where it had been carelessly left. These tiny practices teach the hands how to be steady again. They teach the heart how to trust the work of mercy without demanding immediate proof. Sometimes the greatest mercy is simply staying, remaining in a household when leaving seems easier, choosing to show up to a holiday that might sting, bringing a plate to a doorstep for the person who's kept away. Each of these choices is a stitch. The stitches together mend the fabric of family life. In the quiet of the night, I notice how my own chest relaxes when I remember these things. There is a physical unhooking. Breathing slows. The shoulders let go of an inch more. The mind finds a softer place to land. Perhaps healing always begins with a small easing in the body. From there, the mind can follow. I end the story, not with a tidy resolution, but with a steady image. Picture an evening where two people sit, not perfectly reconciled, but close enough to pass the salt. The salt moves from one hand to another with no need for explanation. Their hands know the motion. That unremarkable passing of salt holds everything, all the hurt, all the trying, all the small repairs. In that ordinary motion, mercy lives. Before we move on, take a breath with me. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold a short pause. Breathe out for 5. With the out breath, imagine a single small act you might do tomorrow that risks nothing but time. Keep it tiny. Let the image rest in the chest like a lantern left burning on a windowsill. I close this part with a blessing. May a quiet courage rise in you. May mercy find a small channel through which to flow. May the hands that have clenched learn to open slowly and often. May healing come not as a storm, but as a series of gentle rains. Rest now, and let the rhythm of such small acts face the morning with patience. When I lift the book again, we will read another passage. The voice will stay low. The lamp will keep its circle. Tonight, carry this story like a soft token in your pocket. Let it remind you that forgiveness can come in small things, and that small things, given often, make a home. The lamp is steady tonight. My voice comes low. I hold the book like a warm stone. A passage sits before me about a small calling. The line says that peacemakers are blessed and that they are called children of God. I do not deliver a sermon. I offer a slow reflection. Peacemaking is quieter than many expect. It is not loud mediation. It is not a trophy handed out after a dramatic reconciliation. It is small work done in soft rooms. It is the careful tending of a shared table. It is the slow practice of choosing bridge over barricade. I think of a late afternoon not long ago. The house held an edge. 2 people sat in different corners. A third moved between them, like someone carrying bowls of soup. Their steps were careful. The words unspoken hung like gauze. I did a small thing. I opened a window to let in cool air. I set a kettle on the stove. I lit a candle on the table and left a mug near each plate. These acts are simple. They do not erase blame. They make space for it to be seen without burning the room down. Peacemaking often begins with room. A room where a face is not immediately judged. A room where the hand that trembles can be steadied by a steadying presence. A room where the first impulse is not to answer but to listen. To listen is to widen the space between two hearts. That widening gives the wind a place to pass through, instead of turning into a storm. Listening has its own tender rules. First, slow the breath. Breathing in time prevents the voice from outrunning patience. Second, keep the gaze soft. Eyes can accuse long before words do. Soften them like a lamp diffused by a curtain. Third, hold silence long enough for the other to feel held, not interrogated. Silence is not absence. It is a kind of presence that makes room for truth. A peacemaker puts attention in small places. Attention to the cup that sits untouched. Attention to the way a hand clutches a cloth. Attention to the pause that comes before a sentence. These tiny observations are not gossip. They are offerings. They say, "I notice you." They say, "You are not alone with this ache." There is courage in smallness. Choosing to be a peacemaker does not mean stepping into danger without care. It means choosing a quieter bravery. It means bending toward the fracture rather than slamming the door. That bending may require steadiness. Sometimes it requires saying a single, clear sentence that is not a defense. It might be an admission of fatigue, a naming of regret, or a request for time. These sentences are not big. They are true. Peacemaking also keeps clear boundaries. It is not a call to swallow harm. It is not a demand to endure abuse. A peacemaker protects the weak and holds firm ground when safety is at risk. The art is to combine gentleness with wise steadiness. That combination looks like a hand that both receives and steadies. In practice, peacemaking shows up in small rituals. Prepare a pot of something warm. Sit in a room where voices can sink into the furniture instead of bouncing off the walls. Offer listening without a rush to fix. Share a simple story that brings a smile but does not pretend the wound was never there. Repair a small thing together. Mend a torn tablecloth. Scrub a stubborn pan. Tie a thread through a fallen hem. Work side by side. Work becomes a language of mercy. A specific practice helps. If a conflict is fresh, create a pause. Name a time to talk when bodies are rested. Agree to a short meeting, 20 minutes, to share one feeling each. 5 minutes of silence between both, and a closing minute to name one small next step. Keep the rules soft but clear. The frame limits the heat. The limit allows the heart to trust that the talk will not become a forever battleground. Another gentle method is the practice of naming common ground. Speak of one thing both love. It can be tiny, a recipe, a place, a memory of rain on a roof. Name it aloud and let it act as a bridge. The shared memory is not a cure. It is a reminder that connection exists beneath the hurt. Peacemakers use these threads to stitch a wider cloth. Peacemaking is also about repair over accusation. When blame rises, try a small redirection. Ask a question that opens rather than closes. Ask about needs instead of reasons. This is not manipulation. It is a change of posture. It treats the other not as an opponent, but as a person whose chest holds something real. When the other person softens, the words that follow tend to be kinder. There will be nights when peacemaking feels impossible. People leave, or doors close hard, or silence becomes a wall. In those nights, peacemaking moves inward. It holds a lamp in a private window. It keeps watch and refuses to answer with equal hardness. It prays for courage to try again. It forgives small failures. It does not demand that the other respond immediately. Instead, it commits to steady attempts made with respect. One practical habit that helps is to keep a small list by the bedside. Write one peacemaking act for tomorrow. Keep it tiny. It might be a phone call to check on someone, a bowl of soup left on a porch, a handwritten line that names appreciation, or a request to sit and listen without offering solutions. The list is not a taskmaster. It is a tender calendar that remembers mercy. Peacemaking is rarely a single act. It is a pattern. It is like watering a small plant a little every day, rather than expecting a single storm to bring a forest. The pattern matters more than any single speech. Tend the pattern. Repair small threads. Notice the little changes. They gather into steadier ground. Within families, peacemakers often act like caretakers of memory. They keep photographs in frames. They retell small stories gently. They make sure that ordinary days have ordinary rituals resumed. These seem small. They are not small in their effect. A routine cup of tea restores a sense of normal. A shared chore rebuilds trust in mutual competence. The work is ordinary. The work is holy in its patient consistency. Forgiveness and peacemaking meet often. Forgiveness allows peacemaking to begin. Peacemaking sustains forgiveness by giving it a home. But peacemaking also protects the one who forgives. It ensures that the person who lays down a stone does not become a doormat. It holds both mercy and prudence together. When a peacemaker speaks, words can be chosen like nails in a frame. Use only the ones that hold, not the ones that proud. A short affirmation can steady a room. A clear request can set a boundary without a shout. Tone matters more than volume. A soft voice that stays steady carries authority without cruelty. If it helps, try a breathing practice before a difficult conversation. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold a breath, as if holding a small seed. Release for 5 counts. Imagine the seed being placed on a bench beside you. That small imagined act keeps hands steady and words kinder. The breath is a simple calibrator. When peacemaking succeeds, it often looks modest. People pass the salt. Someone refills a teapot. A laugh slips through like a small bird that has been trained to land on a windowsill. These moments are not endpoints. They are signs that the path back together is being walked. Sometimes peacemaking means staying still. It means refusing to add fuel. It means not answering the bait thrown in the middle of the night. Staying still can be an act of courage. It prevents the widening of a wound. It allows a calm to return sooner than reaction would. At times, a peacemaker needs support. Call a trusted friend. Ask for counsel. Ask for prayer. Peacemaking does not require going it alone. It sometimes calls for steady companions who will hold a lamp while the work continues. I end this reading with a small invitation. Choose one tiny act of peacemaking you can do tomorrow. Keep it smaller than fear says is possible. Let it be an offering rather than a demand. Let the act be repeatable. Let it be kind. Place it on the bedside list. Sleep with that small plan like a lantern at your feet. A quiet prayer follows. Short and spare. May courage meet gentleness. May hands that hold grievances learn to open. May bridges be built with small stones laid faithfully. May the night keep watch while peacemaking begins. Amen. In the sense of a calm wish held close, the book closes a fraction. The lamp throws one more circle of light. The garden beyond the window breathes in the slow rhythm of evening. When I open the page again, I will read another passage. For now, keep the thought of one small peacemaking act. Let it rest in the heart like a single bright leaf on dark water. Rest. The lamp still throws a soft circle of light. The Bible rests open on my knee. My voice is low. I read with slow hands. Tonight, the reading settles into a thought about grace. Grace is not a big event. It is a small habit. It shows up in the simplest exchanges. I keep the room quiet. The house breathes around us. I imagine the street outside at dusk. People move with small, ordinary burdens. Each step counts. Each step gives a chance to practice grace. I watch a woman in my memory on a morning train. Her bag smells faintly of coffee. She is tired. The car is full. A man with a stroller steps in and scans for a place to stand. She slides her bag to the floor. She moves, left a little as if making room without fuss. The man places the stroller and breathes a sigh that has a small sound of relief. I notice the quiet mercy in that motion. No sermon. No announcement. Just a shifting of weight, so another might stand easier. On another day, I watch a cashier at a small grocery. A line forms slowly. Someone brings a coupon that does not apply. The cashier could sigh or argue. Instead, the cashier says, in a voice that keeps its calm, that they will look for another way to help. Then a small smile lifts at the corner of the mouth. The customer softens. The moment loosens. I feel grace like a heat in my chest. It is not loud. It spreads in small increments. Grace begins inside. A habit of gentleness starts with a decision to pause. The pause holds two gifts. One is time. The other is room. When we pause, we give time for another person's breath to find its shape. We give room for hurt to quiet. Grace is a small gap kept open between reaction and response. I practice this pause in small ways. At the sink, when hands are wet and impatient, I breathe for 4 counts. I make one choice to soften the mouth. The small act matters later when words might otherwise sting. In that moment, I am practicing mercy with myself, and so I hold a gentler tone for others. At the crosswalk, there is a driver who nudges the horn. My knee tightens. The instinct is to answer the impatience with a glare. Instead, I take a breath and let the horn be a sound I do not need to own. I step forward and let the light teach me calm. The soft choice, not to meet annoyance with annoyance, is a practice of grace that sinks into the bones over time. A neighbor once knocks on my door with a question about the mailbox. The question is simple. My first thought is that I am busy. My second thought is to be kind. I set aside the list in my head. I come to the doorstep and listen. I do not need to solve everything for the neighbor. I only need to hold attention for a minute. That minute becomes a small mercy. Grace is patient with mistakes. I remember a child at church who spilled juice on the hymn book. The child looks up with wet eyes and shame. The adults around could make a big moment. Instead, someone wipes the page. No reproach. No loud correction. Later, the child tucks the book back on the shelf, as if the world still belongs to kind hands. The small act teaches the child to carry less fear. At work, someone forgets to include a chart in a morning report. The omission costs an hour. The first impulse is blame. The practice of grace says, speak plainly and helpfully. Offer a way forward. Fix the chart together. Keep the voice steady. The person who is corrected with kindness learns to try again without dread. The office breathes easier afterward. Sometimes grace is quiet generosity. A man pays for the coffee of the person behind him in line because he remembers mornings when someone did the same. No announcement. No camera. A small exchange of cost becomes a small exchange of care. The person who receives the cup that morning carries the kindness in pockets of memory for days. Grace can also mean restraint. There is great power in choosing not to correct every small wrong. Choosing to let something go does not mean the thing does not matter. It means choosing peace over proving right in that hour. I practice that choice at the table when a minor complaint arises. I breathe. I listen. I let the moment pass without making a record of the slight. The quiet saves warmth. Forgiving in little things changes the shape of whole days. When a friend is late, I do not tally it as proof of disregard. I imagine what might be behind the tardiness. I do not explain away harm. I simply refuse to store every small wound in a ledger. Mercy grows when the ledger is less crowded. There is also a kind of grace I call refusing to escalate. In a grocery parking lot, two cars awkwardly compete for a space. A hand moves on the steering wheel. Words rise in the mouth. A deliberate step back one sigh. One light tap on the horn, and then backing away keeps the evening calm. The practice is not passive. It is a careful stewardship of peace. Hospitality is a daily practice of grace. Making room at the table. Brewing a pot of tea for a friend who drops by. Setting a blanket over someone who feels chill. These acts are small and repeatable. They do not need sermonizing. They need steady hands. Hospitality trains the heart to welcome rather than to judge. Grace shows up in listening, that stays with the person speaking. When someone tells a story about loss, it is easy to bring answers or comparison. A more graceful option is to listen and then to name what was heard. That naming is not correction. It is presence. It tells the speaker you have not only heard the facts, but you have met the weight they carry. I have a simple practice before I speak about another person. I ask myself 2 quick questions. Will this help? Is it kind? If neither answer is yes, I do not say it. The practice is small. It keeps my conversations calmer and kinder. Over time, it changes how I move through the world. Words that might cut become unused tools. Grace also means giving credit and praise at work. When a colleague completes a long task, I make the habit of naming the effort in a short note. A brief well done in an email that is gentle in tone builds a gentle culture. Praise does not puff up pride so much as it secures the common good. It ties the day together with trust. There is a daily mercy to be offered to ourselves. When plans go awry, I stop the inner critic. I set a small hand on the chest and say nothing loud. The self that forgives itself is quieter and steadier. This mercy is practical. It helps sleep come without a ledger, replaying every misstep. I try to let my meals be times of gratitude. Before the first bite, a quick pause to notice the food and the hands that made it is a small discipline. That small pause becomes a pattern. It softens hurried eating. It teaches patience with the body and with others at the table. Mercy grows with the rhythm of meals well tended. The way I enter a room matters. A hurried step carries different energy than a measured one. I practice entering a space with less carrying of the day. I take one breath at the threshold. I let the breath be a tidy thing that arranges the self. This tiny habit affects the tone of interactions inside the room. Practical mercy can also be a daily habit of tending, mending small tears, returning a borrowed tool, or watering a plant in a neighbor's absence are ordinary acts. They do not solve grand problems. They show that attention matters. The attention is the grace. I teach my hands to serve quietly, holding a door, picking up a coat someone dropped, smoothing a child's hair. These small gestures teach the body a language of tenderness. Over time, the hands learn to move without irritation. They learn to hold, not to hurt. A teaching from the book feels like a lamp to these practices. The teaching shows care for the small things. It lifts the ordinary into the holy. I do not spell out doctrines. I only look at how the stories shape the simplest choices. The quiet words in the pages remind that mercy is practical and faithful. Even the act of saying thank you is grace in motion. I make a small point to thank the person who opens the door, who clears the table, who brings a packet of medicine to the house. The words are brief but steady. They acknowledge someone's small labor. They train the heart to notice service. When frustration rises with a spouse or a friend, I practice naming my own feeling without blaming. I say in my head, I am tired, and then I choose a small step toward rest. I do not always speak it aloud. Often I go make a cup of tea. The small act cools the heat and keeps a tender option open for the next conversation. Grace is also a refusal to generalize. One misstep does not become an identity. I do not let a single night of exhaustion define the whole life. I practice this by speaking to the moment, not to the person as a whole. This small precision prevents weeks of resentment. A neighbor once left a stray dog on the porch. The animal was anxious. I could have yelled about carelessness. Instead, I went out with a bowl of water and a blanket. The neighbor returned and saw what had been done. An apology came, quiet and real. The small act rescued the evening from a harsh blow. It did not fix everything. It turned a poor moment into a place for gentleness. Practice makes the heart softer. The places we practice, we will become. Make one small habit tonight. Choose one act you can do tomorrow that asks for time, not proof. It might be paying for the coffee of the person in line behind you. It might be leaving a short note of thanks for someone who cleans the building. It could be calling an old friend to ask how they sleep. Keep it tiny. Keep it repeatable. Before sleep, speak a short, quiet prayer. Ask simply for help to notice when grace is needed. Ask for courage to pause. Ask for a steady heart. The prayer is a soft work, not a demand. Breathe with me now. Inhale 4 counts. Hold a whisper. Exhale 5. With each out-breath, imagine one small act of grace settling into the hands. Let the act be small enough to fit into tomorrow. Let the weight of it be light. I close the Bible carefully. The lamp keeps its gentle circle. The night embraces the small things we choose. Grace begins within. Grace walks out into the world in tiny steps. Practice one tonight. Rest easy. The world will wait for another gentle step in the morning. The lamp breathes a soft circle again. The Bible rests in my lap. Tonight, I turn to a line that invites simple action. It reminds that asking is not a frantic thing. It is a gentle opening of the hands. The passage points toward a small discipline. Bring needs into the quiet. Bring questions into the hush. Ask for what the heart cannot find alone. I do not read a list of rules. I offer a slow practice. The voice keeps low. The sentences come like small steps. The aim is calm. The aim is trust. The aim is a soft courage to speak a need and to listen for a kind answer. Begin with a breath. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold only a whisper. Breathe out for 5. Repeat this until the chest finds a steadier pace. Each breath is a simple prayer. Each breath is a small opening. The act of breathing is itself a way to ask for steadiness. Because the body remembers how to be rooted, now imagine a small door. It sits in a plain wall in a courtyard you know in the mine. The door is not heavy. It is painted in a color that feels like home. A small knob waits at a polite height. To ask is to knock. To seek is to walk around the courtyard. To knock is to reach out. There is no demand in the gesture. There is only the simple hope that behind the door someone hears. Place a single need on the doorstep in the imagination. Choose one that sits most real tonight. Give it a short name, a single breath that speaks it. It may be a longing for rest. It may be a request for courage. It may be a hope for clearer steps tomorrow. Do not list all the hours at once. Choose the one that presses closest to the breast. I hold the need gently. I walk to the door. My knuckles touch the wood. The sound is small. Wait in silence for a moment. The silence is part of the asking. The silence is not empty. It is a patient space where mercy can come into focus. Now a brief, guided prayer. Speak these things quietly in the mind, not aloud. The prayer is not a demand. It is a simple conversation. Begin. I bring this small thing. Give it the name chosen. Ask for peace to meet it. Ask for wisdom to understand the next small step. Ask for the courage to accept what can be changed and the grace to bear what cannot. End the prayer with a breath. Release it into the air, as if laying a hand on the door. After the prayer, stay still. Listen with the ears of the heart. Listening is not waiting for a loud voice. It is letting space hold the wish. Sometimes a reply comes as a calm thought. Sometimes the answer is an easing in the shoulders. Sometimes it arrives as a little clarity about one practical step. Be open to the smallness of the reply. There is a gentle way to ask that is different from a restless plea. It is steady. It is patient. It trusts that asking aligns our attention with what matters. The practice is to ask without an insistence that the outcome match a particular plan. The posture is humble and expectant. It keeps the hands soft rather than clenched. To seek is to look with quiet curiosity. If the prayer brings no sudden answer, begin a small seeking. Name one place to look for help tomorrow. It could be a friend to call. It could be a note, written and folded into a pocket. It could be a small step of self-care, a walk, a phone call to a doctor, a cup of warm tea at mid-morning. The act of choosing one small, concrete next step is a way of practicing the answer. To knock is to present the question again when morning comes. The first knock might be soft. The second might be firmer. The third might be a recorded habit of returning. The passage invites persistence without frantic force. Return to the door with patience. Let the repeated knocking be like checking the lamp in a dark room to see if it still burns. A short practice follows. Breathe in and imagine a small coin of attention. Hold it briefly on the in-breath. On the out-breath, place that coin on the doorstep. Do this 3 times. Each placement is one small asking. Notice how the chest responds after each placing. The movement is a ritual that teaches the hands to release. We are not alone in the courtyard. Remember the image of a steady presence on the other side of the door. Imagine a lamp that answers our knock with light. The light does not scold us for the number of our knocks. It simply warms the frame. In this presence there is neither surprise nor scorn, only steady attention. That steadiness is what the heart needs tonight. Wisdom often arrives as a single phrase that calms a worry. It may be a word about timing. It may be a small rethink of expectations. It may be the courage to say no to some things and yes to others. The prayer for wisdom is a simple request to see the next right thing. Ask for it. Then prepare the mind to notice its tiny arrival. When the mind becomes noisy, return to the bench or the door in imagination. Bring a gentle focus back to the breath. Label one stray thought as tomorrow's work and gently set it aside. Do not argue with the thought. Do not shove it away. Place it on the bench. The bench is a patient surface. It holds the thought without judging it. Now, name one tomorrow worry. Keep the choice narrow. Pick the one that hums the loudest tonight. Say its name in your mind in a single short phrase. Do not unpack it into all its causes. Keep the name to one breath. This is not denial. It is a tidy offering. Bring that named worry into the body. Notice where it sits. Is it a tightness behind the sternum, a weight in the throat, a clench in the hands? Give it a place. Do not argue with the sensation. Observe it as if you are noting the color of a leaf. Imagine a small object that will carry that worry. It can be a smooth pebble, a folded scrap of paper, a feather. Choose what feels right. Picture the object clearly. Hold it in your mind as if it is warm in your palm. Walk in the imagination down the garden path I have described before. The bench sits where it always does. The lamp in the window throws a small, steady light. The grass is silent. The air touches the face like an old shawl. Sit on the bench for a moment. Feel the wood under you. Let the breath move slow and even. Place the chosen object on the bench. Lay it down with both hands. Exactly as it is. Notice the shoulders drop a small degree. Let the neck soften. Your body is doing an honest thing. The mind is learning a new habit, placing weights where they can be tended, not hoarded. If it helps, imagine hands reaching from the lamplit doorway. These hands are steady. They do not judge. They only hold enough to let your shoulders release. Hand the object over to those hands. Feel the straps of the pack loosen. Let the breath find a fuller path. If the image of hands set you at ease, linger there. If it does not, try another few breaths and picture the object placed in a wooden box. The box sits on the bench. It has a soft lining. Close the lid. Place the box on the chair by the door. Tell it, inside your mind, that you will open it again in the morning if needed. For now, the box can rest. Some prefer a physical practice. If that is you, take a small scrap of paper from the bedside. Write one short sentence, the single worry you named. Fold the paper once and tuck it beneath a cup on the nightstand. The cup is a lid of a kind. Leave it there. The act of writing is a transfer. The mind can trust the object to hold what it has been carrying. Others might find water helpful. If you can safely do so, keep a shallow bowl of water by the bedside. Drop the imagined pebbles into the bowl in the mind. Watch the ripples slow. Picture the pebble sink and rest upon the bottom. The water does not swallow the pebble, as if the worry never happened. It offers distance. It gives a new place for the weight. All these small acts share a single shape offering. Offer one thing. Do not try to clear every corner of anxiety tonight. One honest offering is enough to change the posture of the chest. Now a short reflection. What is one small, concrete thing you can do for tomorrow that will relieve some pressure? Perhaps a note to a colleague. Perhaps a call to arrange a small appointment. Perhaps a single line written on a calendar. Choose only one thing. Make it small enough to be done with a clear hand in the morning. Planning that reduces panic is a mercy. Planning that becomes an all-night racket is not. If a practical step seems impossible, choose a tender inner move. Promise yourself a pause at mid-morning. Name a cup of tea you will take with no devices. Promise to breathe for 3 long minutes before the first email. These are not grand gestures. They are the steady work of preventing tomorrow's weight from camping out into night. I will offer a short prayer now, spoken in the hush of the mind. It is not an argument. It is a small placing. Bring the named worry again to the bench. Say, quietly, I leave this for the morning. I will care for it at the right time. May mercy meet what I cannot fix. Now, let the words be a breath. Release. Stay with the after of that prayer for a moment. Notice how the breath responds. Does the rhythm shift? Does the jaw unclench? The changes can be small. They matter because small changes add up. There will be nights when the mind returns to the list. That is normal. When it happens, do not scold. Gently, with the same breath, place the thought on the bench and set it down. Bring the focus back to the body. Feel the rise and fall of the ribs. Name one grateful thing in the day, one small kindness received, one ordinary sight that warmed the eyes. Let gratitude be a counterweight, not a rival to grief or concern. If worry clings to the future of a loved one, offer a slightly different image. Imagine locking the worry in a small room and leaving the door slightly ajar. That room will be checked in the morning. For now, it sits with a lamp at the table and a chair for company. The act of leaving the door ajar honors both vigilance and rest. You can return with calm eyes. Trusting in God's plan appears here not as a demand for certainty, but as a steady presence at the lamp. Imagine that presence as a light that does not hurry you. It watches the path and keeps its lamp lit in case you need the way. The presence does not remove all trouble. It offers company. It is a hand at the bench when the pebbles are past. For those who welcome that image, let it be a quiet comfort tonight. Here are a few small practices to choose from before sleep. Pick one and do it now. Breathe and name. Inhale 4, exhale 5. On each out-breath name, one tiny worry you will set aside. Do this 3 times. Write and tuck. Write a single line about the most pressing worry. Fold the paper and place it under a cup. Leave it until morning. Visualize and hand over. Picture the bench, the lamp, the steady hands. Place the imagined object into those hands. Watch the shoulders relax. Promise one small step. Choose one action for the morning that will ease tomorrow's load. Make it tiny and specific. Choose only one of these. Keep the routine simple. Repeating one small practice nightly teaches the mind a new muscle. Before we finish, I want to touch on gentleness toward yourself. Many carry a sharper voice for their own mistakes than for those of others. Ask tonight for mercy, for that inner critic. Practice saying a short phrase in the mind. I will try again with gentleness. Repeat it once with the breath. Do not demand results. Offer kindness as you would to a child who had fallen and tried again. If sleep arrives, welcome it. Let the images dissolve into dream. If wakefulness keeps watch, let the practice be patient. Return to the bench in the imagination. Place another stone if needed. The habit of handing things over grows with repetition. A brief blessing now. quiet and plain. May the weight you carry find a place to rest. May mercy sit with your worries like a lamp at the door. May the breath grow slow and true. May the morning bring a clear first step. For tonight, set down one stone, close the lid of the small box. Let the house hold its slow breath. I close the book for this part and keep the lamp lit a soft moment longer. The garden waits. The path remains open. When I return, the voice will be the same and the light steady. For now, breathe. Release one small thing and rest. The lamp is a thin circle now. I lower my voice as if folding a cape. The room narrows to the breath and the light. Make yourself as comfortable as you can. Let the weight of the day settle where it will. Adjust a pillow. Draw the blanket up a little. These small moves matter. Notice the breath. It is steady. It carries you. Do not force it. Simply watch it. Breathe in slowly. Count to 4 in your mind. Hold a beat. Breathe out for 5. Let the exhale be a little longer than the in-breath. Repeat that pattern as often as it soothes. The breath is a small task. It helps the body remember how to rest. I invite you now into a gentle letting go. The practice is simple. Choose one single thing to place down. It might be a worry, an ache, a name that treads your sleep. Name it once in your mind. Do not make a list. Choose only the one that sits heaviest right now. Give it a short name and keep it to a single breath. Picture a small, safe place. It can be a river bend, a wooden table, an empty harbor, a bench under a tree, whichever image eases you. For me, the garden path and the lamplit bench are steady images. For you, choose what rests the chest. See the place clearly. Let the light there be warm and without hurry. Hold the thing you named in the mind like a small stone. Feel its edges in imagination. Notice the weight. Notice where it presses inside the body. Does it sit near the throat, behind the ribs, at the base of the skull? Do not push it away. Observe it with patient notice. This is not a battle. It is a careful bookkeeping of the heart. Now, with the next slow out-breath, lay that stone down in the safe place. Watch your own hands in the mind. Set it gently down. Imagine the straps of the sack loosening a fraction. Feel the shoulders drop an inch. Let the neck soften. Let the jaw unclench. You do not need to fix what is left behind. You only need to place it where it can be tended. If an image of hands comes to you, allow that too. Picture hands that are steady and warm, taking the stone from the bench. They do not hurry. They do not judge. They offer steadiness. You may think of those hands as a neighbor's hands, a friend's, or simply as a steady presence, if the word God is welcome to you tonight. Imagine those hands as the kind presence that watches over the path. If not, keep them simply steady. Either way, let the stone change hands. Breathe again. Inhale 4. Pause. Exhale 6. With each out-breath, imagine the stone moving a little farther away from the center. Do this 3 times. Notice how the body answers. Even a small release makes space for the breath to lengthen. Small changes are enough. Now widen the attention slowly. Scan the head. Soften the forehead. Let the eyes rest in their sockets. Unclench the teeth slightly. Move the shoulders a degree downward. Let that ease flow down the arms, into the hands, into the palms. Picture warmth like a thin cloth spreading down the spine. Let it travel through the ribs and the belly. Let the hips loosen. Let the knees relax. Feel the softness reach the feet. If memories or worries drift back, notice them without striking at them. Imagine each thought as a leaf on a slow stream. Watch it float by. You do not have to jump up and fetch the leaf. Let the water carry it. Return to the breath. The practice is patient. It repeats itself without judgment. Now bring to mind a gentle truth. Choose a phrase that settles you. It may be a line from the readings you heard tonight. It may be a simple prayer like, "You are held," or "I am not alone," or "Mercy meets me here." Repeat that phrase quietly with each out-breath. Let it be a small anchor when the dark tries to tighten the chest. Picture, for a moment, a lamp placed by your window. The lamp is steady. It does not glare. It offers a small circle of warmth. Outside, the night is not empty. It carries its own rhythms. Inside, the lamp keeps watch. Let that lamp be a sign of care that does not demand proof. Let it be a reminder that someone watches gently while you rest. If sorrow sits near, give it air. Do not force cheer. Naming sorrow is part of tenderness. Say its name once in the mind, then breathe it out onto the bench, into the stream, under the lamp. Allow the sorrow to be visible without being the only thing visible. In this way, grief shares a room with gentler things. Forgiveness can come as a quiet practice in this hour. You do not have to make a grand gesture. Unbinding a small knot is enough. Visualize the knot at the wrist or in the chest. See fingers at the loop. Patient and careful. Each small tug eases the tension. The knot relaxes a little. The hand opens wider. This is work that need not finish tonight. The first gentle movement toward release matters. If anger shows, watch it like weather. Storms pass. They leave wind-scoured branches. They do not always take the trees. Let the anger be a temporary weather in a larger landscape. Breathe through it. Place it on the bench. Leave it for the morning. If it must be met, then. Night does not require you to solve everything. Now imagine a shawl or cloak wrapped around the shoulders. It is not a heavy burden. It is a soft protection. The fabric is woven from steady, small mercies. It has patches of kindness sewed into it. Pieces from hands that cared. Feel the warmth close around the neck. Let the cloak remind you that care comes in small stitches. You do not have to be whole tonight. You may be tended. Slowly, bring to mind a simple scene of care from the book I read earlier. Perhaps a field quiet with wind. A hand reaching out in welcome. A stream that bends around stones. Let that scene sit like a small painting in the chest. Gaze at it without analysis. Allow it to wash the edges of the worry with color and calm. If prayer feels right, place a short, honest sentence into the quiet. There is no need for eloquence. A brief offering does the work. Help me rest. Hold this for me. Grant a small courage. These requests are humble. They are enough. If prayer feels heavy, think of the words as a wish tucked under the lamp. The wish need not be loud to be real. Now, I will guide a small closing pause. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold the breath as if holding a small warm cup. Breathe out slowly for 6 counts. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Each out-breath is a letting go. Repeat this 3 times. With each round, imagine the bench a little less crowded. Imagine the stone you set down, sitting in peace. As the breath lengthens, let the mind soften around an image of care. It may be a shepherd who walks gently beside a flock. It may be a lamp in a low window. It may be a hand smoothing a blanket. Choose the image that brings ease. Hold it like a small object you can carry into sleep. I speak now a few words of blessing. Hear them as a steady thing placed into the night, not as a demand. May your heart be lightened by a single laying down. May the breath find its natural pace. May small mercies meet the wounds you carry and soothe them without hurry. May forgiveness come in small, generous moments. May courage arise in thin, faithful steps. If you welcome a quiet prayer with me, I offer this one in a low voice of care. I ask for rest to meet your weariness. I ask for gentleness to surround your mistakes. I ask for mercy to enter the places that feel locked. I ask for a steady light to watch over you through the dark. If prayer feels heavy, receive it as hope set like a small stone on the bench beside you. Before I close, take one more slow breath with me. Inhale 4, pause, exhale 6. With the out-breath, imagine tucking the evening's heaviest thought into the pocket of the cloak around your shoulders. Let the motion be gentle. Let it be enough. If sleep comes, welcome it. Let it arrive without shame. If wakefulness remains, let wakefulness be curious rather than harsh. Stay in the posture you have practiced. Return to the bench in imagination when thoughts drift into lists. Place each intrusive item down on the bench and let it rest. The habit of handing things over grows with small repetitions. I invite you back to this room and this quiet light whenever the night presses close. Come with whatever you carry. Bring only one thing at a time if that is all you can bear. We will walk the path together with a soft voice and low steps. There is no hurry here. There is only steady care. Now a closing blessing in a few spare lines. I speak them slowly and plainly. May you be held in a peace that does not demand perfection. May your shoulders find ease. May your chest know a steady, patient breath. May mercy rest with you like a small lamp at the bedside. May rest repair what the day has worn thin. If you keep a small practice for tomorrow, let it be this. Choose one tiny act of kindness for yourself or another. Make it so small that it is easily kept. Let that tiny act be a continuation of the mercy begun tonight. When you awaken, let the first hour be gentle. Do not race the morning. Offer yourself a cup of water, a short breath, a soft word. The little things change a day, I will close the book now. I leave the lamp circle in your mind. The garden path remains open. The bench waits. If sleep finds you before I speak again, know that the work of tonight is enough. Rest is not a one-time victory. It is a place you return to again and again. Go into the night with a steady hand at your back. Lay down one stone. Trust the lamp to watch. Sleep well. And wake with small courage. I will be here again. In this steady voice, when you need another hour of quiet. For now, rest. The lamp keeps one small circle of light. The room breathes slowly around it. I sit with the Bible open, and the night as a wide, quiet companion. My voice moves like slow steps. Each sentence is pared down. Each pause gives room for breath. Tonight is the last reading of this series. The hour feels soft. A long thread has been woven through these evenings. Mercy. Small acts. Rest. And gentle repair have been the pattern. I do not tidy the whole life into a neat knot. I offer a way to rest with what is true. That is enough. Come close if you like. Make the body comfortable. Shift a blanket. Set a hand where it can rest. Let the eyes soften. If sleep comes, it is welcome. If wakefulness stays, that is welcome too. Neither state needs to be fixed. Both may be cradled. I begin with a short passage that speaks of shelter. I do not repeat the exact words of the book. I put the thought into simple speech. Listen as if to rain on a roof. The line says, "This there is a place where the weary may bend and find a cover that will not judge." The shelter is steady. It asks for no proof. It only requires coming near. My voice slows even more. Allow each word time to settle. Imagine a small room with a low window. A cup rests on a table. Steam rises from the cup in thin curls. The light through the window is mild. One chair is pulled out a little as an invitation. That scene asks no more than presence. It offers rest as a matter of mercy. Breathe with me once. Inhale 4. Hold a soft beat. Exhale 5. Let the out-breath lengthen just a touch. The practice is tiny. Do it 3 times. Each breath is a small offering to the body. Each exhale loosens tension 1 degree. I speak now about carrying peace into dreams. Peace is not a grand fortress. It is a quiet habit. It is the lamp left on a bedside table. It is a simple sentence that returns the mind to gentleness. Before sleep, choose one small image to carry. It can be a river that moves slow and sure. It can be a warm cloth folded by a windowsill. It can be a single bright leaf held in the palm of the mind. Let that image be the friend that walks with you into the dark. Place the image gently where dreams will see it. Imagine tucking the leaf under the pillow like a promise. Imagine the river flowing past the dream and keeping the current calm. The act is not mystical. It is practical. The mind that has a soft image to return to is less likely to spiral into lists and alarms. If worry returns at night, use the breath as a tether. Count 4 on the in-breath. Let the out-breath be 1 beat longer. Name the worry once as if setting it on a small shelf. Do not argue with it. Do not offer long speeches. Place it and let it be. Revisit the shelf in the morning if necessary. Tonight, permit the shelf to hold it. Forgiveness is part of this piece. Forgiveness need not be a public drama. Often it is private and small. It looks like making tea for the person who once hurt you. It looks like smoothing a quilt that belonged to a shared life. It looks like writing a single, honest line and folding it into a pocket. These acts do not erase harm. They rework how the memory is held in the chest. If forgiveness seems impossible, begin with a single, humble motion, a small paper, a quiet thought, a shared mending. The first move is rarely enough to finish the work. That is fine. Mercy grows by repetition. A stitch today, another tomorrow. Each one loosens an edge. Now, I read a few lines that remind the heart of gentleness towards itself. The human tendency is to be harsher towards self than toward neighbor. Tonight, be softer. Speak to the inner critic as you would to a tired child. Name one small thing you will do tomorrow that honors the body. A cup of water first thing, a 5-minute walk, a brief call to a friend. Keep the promise small enough to be kept easily. Make a plan you can return to. The plan does not have to be perfect. It only needs to be kind. Kindness toward the self is practical. It repairs the places the worry wears thin. There will be mornings when the plan matters little. The work of life sometimes swallows intentions. That is not failure. It is life. Return to the small, ordinary practices. Breathe. Make tea. Take a short walk. These repeatable acts re-establish a rhythm that supports mercy. I place one final small practice before sleep. Draw a circle of attention around a single intention. Keep it narrow. An intention might read, I will speak kindly to myself today. Or I will give one short act of mercy to another. Write the intention on a scrap of paper. Fold it and keep it by the bedside. The physical act anchors the mind. It says return here in the morning. Do not let the day be a flood of obligations. As the voice grows lower, I offer a gentle invitation about sharing this piece. If this hour has eased the chest even a little, consider passing it on. A short message to a friend, a note to a neighbor, an offer to sit with someone for a cup of tea. These moves do not require eloquency. They require only willingness. If you find these evenings helpful, there is a small practical way to keep them near. Subscribe to the channel or the program that brings this reading. Subscribing is a quiet commitment. It means another evening will come when the night presses. It keeps a lamp lit on the far shore. If the words here carry peace, share them with someone who needs a soft hour. A single share can place a warm lamp on another's mantle. Do this gently. Do not feel obliged to argue or persuade. Simply offer the link. Invite a friend to sit with the quiet. A community of soft listeners can change how nights are kept. Before I close the book, a few reassurances. Mercy does not demand immediate proof. Progress is not a line. It is a net of small stitches. Rest is not earned by performance. It is offered. Receive it with a kind hand. If the night brings tears, they are allowed. If laughter slips through, Let it, all of it, is part of the peace. A short prayer follows in the quiet of the mind. Speak the words slowly. If that helps, ask for rest. Ask for the courage to live kindly. Ask for patience with the small failures. Ask for the ability to give small mercies tomorrow. The prayer is a simple placing, then release it. Now, a guided breath to close this series. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold a whisper. Breathe out for 6 counts. Picture the breath like a ribbon wrapping the chest in a gentle band. Repeat twice more. With each cycle, let the body feel a fraction more still. Imagine, for a moment, a lamp in the window of a small house. The lamp stays lit all night without fuss. It keeps its small circle of warmth. Someone in that house watches the path. The lamp is a friend that does not force an answer. It simply keeps light until the morning arrives. Carry that lamp into your dreams. Let it be an emblem of the steadiness you may call upon. If the hands remain restless, hold them open a while. Place them on the lap. Let them rest near the heart. If sleep has come, the hands will settle themselves. If wakefulness remains, let the open hands be a posture of receiving rather than grasping. A closing thought about courage. Courage tonight looks like small choices. It is choosing gentleness when pride pushes to harden. It is choosing to rest when busyness claims urgency. It is choosing to forgive again when the ledger is full. These are quiet, heroic acts. They do not demand applause. They change the shape of a life in slow increments. For those who listen regularly, thank you for returning. For those who are new, welcome. For those who share the quiet with others, be assured this is a work of patient service. The world needs people who know how to be still and kind. I close with a blessing. Receive it as a soft thing placed in your hands, not as a decree. May the breath in your chest be steady. May sleep come to you like a gentle tide. May the night keep watch with a small lamp. May mercy meet your wounds and make room for healing. May you awake with a quiet courage. May the first act of morning be simple and kind. If this hour has been of help, consider subscribing, so another evening will be ready when the night returns. If you know someone who could use a soft hour, share this with them. A small gesture can place a lamp at another's window. The Bible closes with a sound like paper settling. The lamp dims a fraction. The house keeps its slow respiration. The path outside remains steady. The bench in the garden, the lamp in the window, the small folded notes, they are all parts of tonight's work. Keep one image close. Carry it into the dark. Let it live in the dream. Sleep now. If sleep comes, rest, if rest is possible. Wake when morning finds you. And let the small mercy begun tonight be the first step into the day. I will be here again. With a low voice and an open book. Whenever the night calls for a patient light, good night.